This not your average podcast. You ain't talking about nothing. When they hit the highway, yeah, they talking about something. Better tune in and listen. Get the scoop they diggin'. It's just an open discussion. Now tell me what's your position. This not your average podcast. You ain't talking about nothing. When they hit the highway, yeah, they talking about something. Better tune in and listen. Get the scoop they diggin'. It's just an open discussion. Now tell me what's your position. Lady Roscoe on point. She gon' tell you the drill. You got Yoko Camille. All work, no play. She gon' give you the spiel. Let's talk about it. What's the truth? They just keeping it real. Square business, that's the deal. They gon' speak on something, just pick a topic, get it poppin'. Not your average type of show, they keep it rockin', ain't no stopping. Controversial, who cares? We taking over, keep on watching. Motion steady on go, anticipation got 'em flocking. Ain't nothing average about it, just keep glad that you found it. Tell a friend about it, know we all about it, so we gon' speak about it. Yoko Camille and Lady Roscoe, leave no doubt about it. Scream it out from the mouth. This not your average podcast. You ain't talking about nothing. When they hit the highway, yeah, they talking about something. Better tune in and listen. Get the scoop they diggin'. It's just an open discussion. Now tell me what's your position. You know what it is. Not your average podcast. You know what I'm saying? Yoko Camille, Lady Roscoe. Y'all tap in. You know what I'm saying?
All right, welcome to Not Your Average Podcast. I'm Yoko Camille.
And I am Lady Roscoe.
And thank you for tuning in, whether you're on the toilet or on the go. Thank you for enjoying the show.
Yes.
And all right, Lady Roscoe, how was your weekend?
You know what? It was actually not too bad. Just a lot going on. And when you have a lot going on, it can feel a little hectic at times.
Oh, my goodness. I totally understand. This week has been crazy for me, too. And I'm definitely glad that it's almost over, or it's over.
Right. Thank God.
Because, yeah, it's been crazy. But, you know, hey, what can you do? You just got to live and learn and grow.
Right. And move on.
All right. So what do you think about our episode today?
I think we're going to have a really good topic. I know that we're going to be talking about campus safety,
Yes.
navigating the challenges and solutions on college campuses.
Yes, and that is something that is really important. I know for me, because I do have a son that's away in college, so campus safety is very, very, very important.
That's good. That's good. You know, my kids are kind of young, so, you know, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm very aware of what goes on. And, you know, my experience of going to a 2-year college, I didn't go to a big university, but I did attend some college campus. And those tend to be less hectic as bigger schools.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So as a parent, I want to feel and know my child is safe on campus, especially, like I said, when he's over 5 hours away. Mm-hmm. Sending them to make sure their dreams come true is like the American dream. But having the doubt and fear that they will never be okay is what nightmares are made of. We all know that campuses are supposed to be safe, but how safe are they really?
Right. How safe are they really? We really wouldn't know unless you get the proper training or know where your emergency sections are.
Exactly. You know, campus safety in America has become a growing concern for students, parents, and university officials, especially with the rise in school shootings and other forms of violence. Ensuring the safety of students and the faculty has become a top priority. One key factor is having a tight emergency response plan, like you said earlier. You know, that means making sure there are procedures in place for different emergencies like active shooters, natural disasters, and medical crises. And let's not forget about regular drills and trainings to keep everyone on point.
Yeah, I feel like there's a school shooting every day. Like, America has like the highest in the world of people just going nuts and like trigger happy.
And if people would stop, pay attention, and identify those red flags, we could stop so many school shootings. But it's like when you see them, you ignore them instead of acting on them when you could have saved so many people by acting. If you see someone at school that's steady looking at, you know, gun magazines, maybe you want to go and talk to them and try to figure out, what's going on.
Right.
Instead of just assuming, oh, he must just be a gun enthusiast, or, some crazy reason you just give to not do your job in checking.
Right.
I also think a key factor in campus safety is making sure the campus has security cameras,
Yes,
emergency call boxes, extra lighting. And most schools already have their own police force, to keep things in check. But how readily available are they?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question.
Do you have to go to their office to get help? I mean, are there somewhere close by if you have an emergency, to get to? What if you are in the I don't want to say it, what if you are getting raped? How do you call somebody if the call box is a mile away? Like, what do you do in those situations?
Right.
But it's not all about the physical security. Universities also need to have programs in place for, mental health problems and people that are struggling, period. This can prevent potential incidents by nipping those problems in the bud. Communication is key when it comes to safety. Schools have to have a reliable system in place to alert students and staff when there are safety concerns. There needs to be emergency texts, emails, and because people are on Facebook and Instagram all the time, there need to be social media updates.
Right. Social media updates. Nowadays, that's usually the best way to communicate. Like when they had those Maui fires, everyone was pretty much communicating through social media because the news kind of hid some stuff or wasn't always being so forthcoming. So sometimes social media is the best point too.
And building a safety culture on campus, having people that you feel safe in, whether it's other students and staff, to make you feel like you're a part of a community and, to encourage you to report any shady behavior. You need to have a group of friends you can talk to or whatever. If you feel like you see somebody that's suspicious or doing something they're not supposed to, you just have someone on campus that you can go talk to and tell those things. If you don't feel comfortable, going to the police, because not everybody is comfortable going to the police.
No, they're not. Sometimes they're afraid what's going to happen, the repercussion if they tell by other people outside of the police.
Exactly, because there's retaliation. So, there are a lot of reasons why people won't go to campus security or the police, whatever. So there needs to be a lot of different other ways people can get in touch with someone.
Yes.
And last but not least, schools need to constantly evaluate and improve their safety measures. This can mean doing safety checks, getting feedback from students and staff, staying up to date on the latest tools and techniques. In a nutshell, campus safety in America is a big deal, and it takes a lot to keep everyone safe and sound. But with a solid plan, security measures, mental health support, and a cultural safety net, universities can create a safer environment for everybody. But are they going to do that?
I don't know. That's a good question. Another question is what ways do you think that we can keep our friends and family safe on campus?
Well, I feel like we have to make sure they know their surroundings.
Yes.
They have to know where their emergency exits are and where to go in case of an emergency.
I like that.
What do you think?
I think so too. I think that we should, also, encourage people to travel in groups, not be alone. Safety's in numbers. Safety's in numbers.
it's important for us to stay connected with our college fam. Even if we're not physically there, we can check in with them regularly and make sure that they are aware of any potential safety concerns on campus. I was looking on TikTok the other day, and I don't know if you heard about it, but in what university was it? Columbia, where there were some foreign soldiers came on campus and released a chemical weapon on students.
Oh, wow.
I'm all the way here in Texas and hearing about things at the Columbia campus that's not on the news. So if we're staying informed, we can make sure that they can stay informed also.
Yeah, definitely. Because we don't need to have, what are we doing? Chemical warfare, like on campus?
How did they even get on campus? How did they get on campus is my question. Where was security then?
Nowhere. Obviously, nowhere.
Exactly.
Keeping things from us, It's just, I really think that we should definitely take advantages of our resources and definitely look into escorts or maybe self-defense classes. I think that might help too.
Yeah. They should definitely keep their personal belongings close and secure. Make sure if you have a vehicle or something that you're not leaving laptops, phones, anywhere anybody can see. Keep your personal belongings safe. Ain't nobody got time to have their laptop stolen. Like that's how you gonna do your work. That's crazy. Keep up with your stuff.
I think so too.
They should know how to handle themselves in risky situations. If someone is coming up on you and you're walking late at night, have you some mace, have a taser, have something where you can protect yourself. Those little rings that you can put on your finger.
Oh, like those brass ring things?
Not the brass knuckles, but like the spiky ones.
Okay.
That if you hit somebody, you can stab them with it or something. Like it's going to cause pain, not just because I think brass knuckles are illegal. I
think they are too. But
they are plastic ones. I actually have made some of them that you can definitely use.
Okay.
And also, if you're drinking, be responsible. Because you don't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation because you've had too much to drink.
Yeah, because when you're intoxicated, you're not going to know what's going to happen. You're not aware of your surroundings, especially if you're by yourself.
And I think lastly, we want them to have a good time. We encourage them to have a good college experience, but they just have to make sure that they're staying safe.
Right, because it is dangerous out there.
It is very, very dangerous. So, what kind of campus support or safety services do you think they have available for our students on campus? And do you feel like those campus support and safety services are beneficial?
I know that a lot of schools require like a card key access. They get the residents usually in the hall or like the academic buildings. I know there are escort services that are offered, like what they would consider like safe rides. If you were to call campus security and they would just, hey, can you give me a ride for my car? I'm a little nervous to walk by myself.
Okay.
I know that they're supposed to, like I said, they're supposed to offer the college newbies for orientation, what kind of safety and rule procedures that they have, and even sometimes they keep the police officers, city police officers, in contact with like campus security or campus police. That's what I know. Do I think it's effective? When utilized properly, yes. I think it could be effective.
Okay. I know that some students don't know about the resources. And so they wouldn't know who to contact if they were in danger. And so I do feel like they need to have a better way to do that.
You know what? You're right. That makes me wonder, what do you think, or how do you communicate with students in an emergency?
Well, they're supposed to have different platforms to inform campus community about potential dangers. They're supposed to have things set in place for severe weather, active shooters, or anonymous threats.
Yes.
But not all students have cell phones, even though it's 2024.
Yes.
Not every child checks their email. So I'm not sure how that works. And I know they do social media updates also. So I think that would be the only way I think a teenager would actually pay attention to those things. Because how many students do you know actually really check their emails for school updates, school shooting information?
Oh, come on. It's not the 90s anymore where email was like the it thing, or the late 2000s. So not as much as you would think. People would turn to social media probably more than their email updates, unless like students are actively in there. But I don't feel like it is the main communication anymore.
How do you think they handle hazing these days?
Let's see, hazing. I know that, hazing has resulted in like more than 50 deaths on college campuses, like since 2000. And this usually involves like alcohol consumption, humiliation, isolation, sleep deprivations, and even like sexual acts.
And that's
on
terrible.
Others. Yeah. So like the thing is there's no federal law for this.
Right.
But there are like 44 states that have anti-hazing laws.
They do? Really? Oh.
Yeah. So, just by different examples, I heard a story about a young man who was like, they were making the new fraternity guys like swim across the lake. I don't know the guy's name, but one of them, I guess, got like a leg cramp and drowned in the middle of the lake. So, yeah. So usually, if, found guilty of hazing, I know students are moved from their organizations, suspended, expelled. And I know nowadays, many colleges, not all, but like usually who do those Greek life or even like sports teams, they're made to take like a hazing prevention training semester or like yearly.
Well, I know that they're supposed to do that, but I heard a story where like on some of these campuses, like in Arkansas, they still do the hazing. They beat up this white guy really bad for trying to wanting to join a fraternity, and they raped a young lady.
Oh, wow.
And that's horrible. I don't want to have to go through those things just to get into a fraternity. Like, no, thank you. I'll pass.
Thank you. And who wants? That's like, what kind of brotherhood is that?
It's not a good one, or sisterhood. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and like speaking of like fraternity and partying, like you think about like how would you handle drug and alcohol use and abuse?
Well, okay, so drug and alcohol violations are common offenses on college campuses, especially with underage students often being the ones using substances on campuses and visiting local bars. I mean, there's no one-size-fits-all approach on handling these issues. You just have to make sure that you are telling your college student the issues that comes up. They may issue fines. They may have to do community service for drug and alcohol violations. You just have to make sure you have that educational talk. Let them know about the risk. And if they need, they can enter counseling, because there are so many stigmas, on getting counseling, especially at a young age.
Yes.
But there is no shame in admitting that you have a problem. And who wants to be an alcoholic at 19, 20, 21 years old?
I know, it's crazy to be an alcoholic so early.
So they should issue these training sessions, and they're not meant to be a punishment. Right. They're used to show the negative consequences of drug abuse and excessive drinking. Not just going to the hospital and being sick, but lost academic time, lost time from classrooms, lost time from activities, and potential criminal implications. all coming to using drugs on school campuses. So they need to be aware of every situation that could come up.
Yes.
So, who do you feel is the best point of contact if someone feels unsafe on campus?
Man, I mean, every emergency response has various, each campus, but if a student is like facing an urgent crisis or feel like they're being stalked or followed, it should be law enforcement, which is normally like campus police, if they have one, or maybe like the local police departments. Like they should really use the precautions on campus similar way that you would at home, because you don't know your environment that well.
Right.
Like you still have to be careful, and like locking your doors, not leaving valuables out in the open, staying in group as possible, like heeding safety announcements. And like this actually reminds me of a story that I had learned about with a young lady, and her name was like Lauren McCluskey, and I'll get into her story right now.
Okay.
So on October 22nd at 8:20 p.m., Lauren was on the phone with her mom. She was on the university campus of Utah.
Okay.
That's where she was attending. She was on the way to her dorm room, and all of a sudden her parents could hear her on the phone screaming like, no, like basically like, get off of me, like, no, get away from me. And it sounded like she was being dragged away from her phone, and her parents were like frantically like saying hello, like, are you there, what's going on, like, and they realized there was no response, the mom. And so while the mom stayed on the phone, her father called the police, and that was at like 8:23 p.m. And he called to report that something had happened to his daughter at the at her college campus. They think that something is wrong, and the cell phone picks up, but it's a young lady who just happened to be walking by and saw all this stuff scattered in the parking lot. So now this random girl is talking to Lauren's mom on the line, and they were like, hey, can you just stay with the stuff that you see, like the belongings? We think our daughter has been kidnapped. And so I'm going to get into the backstory of basically, like, Lauren was a senior, a track and field athlete from Pullman, Washington. She participated in high jump and ranked number 10 in the haptalon. I might have pronounced that all types of wrong. At the USATF Outdoor Junior Champion Olympics. So she was like a high-performing athlete who could pick from any colleges she wanted, and she was being offered like mini scholarships, right?
Okay.
So she met this guy.
So what kind of campus support or safety services do you think they have available for our students on campus? And do you feel like those campus support and safety services are beneficial?
I know that a lot of schools require like a card key access. They get the residents usually in the hall or like the academic buildings. I know there are escort services that are offered, like what they would consider like safe rides. If you were to call campus security and they would just, hey, can you give me a ride from my car? I'm a little nervous to walk by myself.
Okay.
I know that they're supposed to, like I said, they're supposed to offer the college newbies for orientation, what kind of safety and rule procedures that they have, and even sometimes they keep the city police officers, in contact with like campus security or campus police. That's what I know. Do I think it's effective? When utilized properly, yes. I think it could be effective.
Okay. I know that some students don't know about the resources. And so they wouldn't know who to contact if they were in danger. And so I do feel like they need to have a better way to do that.
You know what? You're right. That makes me like wonder, like, what do you think, or how do you communicate with students in an emergency?
Well, they're supposed to have different platforms to inform campus community about potential dangers. they're supposed to have things set in place for severe weather, active shooters, or anonymous threats.
Yes.
But not all students have cell phones, even though it's 2024.
Yes.
Not every child checks their email. So, and I'm not sure how that works. And I know they do social media updates also.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be the only way I think a teenager would actually pay attention to those things. Because how many students do you know actually really check their emails for school updates, school shooting information?
Oh, come on. It's not the 90s anymore where email was like the it thing, or the late
Mm-hmm.
2000s. So, not as much as you would think. People would turn to social media probably more than their email updates, unless like students are actively in there. But I don't feel like it is the main communication anymore.
Mm-hmm. How do you think they handle hazing these days?
Let's see, hazing. I know that, hazing has resulted in like more than 50 deaths on
Mm-hmm.
college campuses like since 2000.
Yeah.
And this usually involves like alcohol consumption, humiliation, isolation, sleep deprivations, and even like sexual acts,
And that's so
on other ends.
terrible.
Yeah. So like the thing is there's no federal law for this.
Right.
But there are like 44 states that have anti-hazing laws.
They do
And
really? Oh.
yeah, so just by different examples, I heard a story about a young man who was like, they were making the new fraternity
Mm-hmm.
guys like swim across the lake. I don't know the guy's name, but one of them, I
Wow.
guess, got like a leg cramp and drowned in the middle of the lake. So, you know,
Wow.
yeah. So usually, if found guilty of hazing, I know students are moved from their organizations, suspended,
Yeah.
expelled. And I know nowadays, many colleges, not all, but like usually who do those Greek life or even
Mm-hmm.
like sports teams, they're made to take like a hazing prevention training semester or like yearly.
Well, I know that they're supposed to do that, but I heard a story where like on some of these campuses, like in Arkansas,
Mm-hmm.
they still do the hazing. They beat up this white guy really bad for trying to wanting to join a fraternity, and they raped a young lady.
Oh, wow.
And that's horrible. I don't want to have to go through those things just to get into a fraternity. Like, no, thank
Yeah.
you. I'll
No,
pass.
thank you. And who wants, that's like, what kind of brotherhood is that?
It's not a good one or sisterhood. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and like, speaking of like fraternity and partying, like you think about like how would you handle drug and alcohol use and abuse?
Well, okay, so drug and alcohol violations are common offenses on college campuses,
Yeah.
especially with underage students often being the ones using substances on campuses and visiting local bars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no one size fit all approach on handling these issues. You just have to make sure that you are telling your college student the issues that comes up. You know, they may issue fines. They may have to do community service for drug and alcohol violations. You just have to make sure you have that educational talk. You know, let them know about the risk, and if they need, they could enter counseling because there are so many stigmas, on getting counseling, especially at a young age.
Yes.
But there is no shame in admitting that you have a problem. And who wants to be an alcoholic at 19, 20, 21 years old?
I know it's crazy to be an alcoholic so early.
So they should issue these training sessions, and they're not to be meant to be a punishment.
Right.
They're used to show the negative consequences of drug abuse and excessive drinking. Not just going to the hospital and being sick, but lost academic time, lost time from classrooms, lost time from activities, and potential criminal implications all come into using drugs on school campuses. So they need to be aware of every situation that could come up.
Yes.
So, what, who do you feel is the best point of contact if someone feels unsafe on campus?
Man, I mean, every emergency response has various, each campus, but if a student is like facing an urgent crisis or feel like they're being stalked or followed,
Mm-hmm.
it should be law enforcement, which is normally like campus police
Yeah.
if they have one, or maybe like the local police departments. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they should really use the precautions on campus similar way that you would at home, because you don't know your environment that well.
Right.
Like, you still have to be careful, and like, locking your doors, not leaving valuables out in the open, staying in
Mm-hmm.
group as possible, like, heeding safety announcements. And like, this actually reminds me of a story that I had learned about with a young lady, and her name was like Lauren McCluskey, and I'll get into her story right now.
Okay.
So on October 22nd at
Mm-hmm.
8:20 p.m., Lauren was on the phone with her mom. She was on the university campus of Utah.
Okay.
That's where she was attending. She was on the way to her dorm room, and all of a sudden her parents could hear her on the phone screaming like, no, no, like, no, like, basically like, get off of me, like, no, get away from me.
Yeah.
And it sounded like she was being dragged away from her phone, and her parents were like frantically like saying hello, like, are you there, what's going on, like. And they realized there was no response, the
Mm-hmm.
mom. And so while the mom stayed on the phone, her father called the police, and that was at like 8:23
Okay.
p.m. And he called to report that something had happened to his daughter at at her college campus. They think that something is wrong, and the cell phone picks up, but it's a young lady who just happened to be walking by and saw
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff scattered in the parking lot. So now this random girl is talking to Lauren's mom on the line, and they were like, "Hey, can you just stay with the stuff that you see, like the belongings? We think our
Uh-huh.
daughter has been kidnapped." And so I'm going to get into the backstory of, basically, like, Lauren was a senior, a track
Mm-hmm.
and field athlete from
Yeah.
Pullman, Washington. She participated in high jump and ranked number 10 in the haptalon. I may have pronounced that all types of wrong. At the USATF Outdoor Junior Champion Olympics. So she was like a high performing athlete who could pick from any colleges she wanted, and she was being offered like mini scholarships, right?
Okay.
So she met this guy. She met a guy named Melvin Rowland at a local bar where he was working as a bouncer, and they began a relationship back in September of 2018. One of his friends said that he was a 37-year-old man, but he was presenting himself as a 28-year-old community college student named Sean.
Mm.
Yes. Lauren's closest friends stated her boyfriend was possessive, controlling, manipulative, and prone to be have jealous rages, stalking behavior, and that would raise concerns um, as an unhealthy and potential harmful relationship.
Mm.
When Lauren learned Melvin's true identity, including his actual age and the fact that he was a sexual register sex offender,
Oh.
that point she decided to like break up with him,
Okay.
end the relationship. After that, the ex became obsessive, and he was in denial. He started to stalk her and send multiple messages trying to contact her as much as possible, but she declined, you know, talking to him. So
Okay.
it got
She,
to the,
as she should.
yeah, like, so it got to the point that she decided to take some form of security. She decided to contact her campus security, even try to get a hold of like the detective, the city police on many different occasions. She
Okay.
was, she was doing what she felt like she was taking the proper steps to ensure her safety.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the days in those days that she felt scared, she still attended her classes as usual. She moved her day about as normal, but she had what she thought was an added sense of security.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that wasn't enough. And to bring it back to the current moment in the story, the young lady who was, holding on to the items that she found in the parking lot until the police, arrived, the
Mm-hmm.
police decided to create a barrier around the parking lot where she went missing. They also had, campus security reach out to the students to, advising that there was a threat on campus and
Mm-hmm.
that they should like shelter in place and not move because it was an active situation.
Okay.
And,
Huh.
a lot of people, were witnessing like, police were on the ground, campus dogs were smelling. Um, Also, they stated that the officers were able to find Lauren, but unfortunately, it was too late. She had been shot multiple times in the back seat of a car that was borrowed from a
Wow.
neighbor of the ex-boyfriend. So it wasn't even his car. Like,
Wow.
it was a borrowed vehicle. And it's also being stated that the weapon wasn't even his either. It might have been borrowed from someone else. And
You don't
um,
even have what it needs to borrow to do your crime. You gotta borrow stuff.
you got to borrow a car to
You
borrow
gotta
a
borrow the
weapon.
weapon.
Like,
You
what are
shouldn't
we?
have committed this crime if you didn't have everything to take to do it.
Exactly. You would think so, but I guess his mental state wasn't there, obviously, and he's over here like, I'm just gonna get what I can.
And see, that's where when we say that they should have things in place,
Mm-hmm.
this is one of those times that they should have had those um, programs in place to help him with his mental issue because obviously he has a mental issue.
Exactly. And obviously those things were not addressed or brought up. And
Right.
they were saying that the boyfriend was seen earlier that day. He was stalking like the dorm campuses. He was even seen walking around her dorm area, and like her campus, they have to have a key card to get in,
Mm-hmm.
just like we were talking about in the article. But
Yeah.
people could see like other students were letting him in the dorm. So he wasn't even swiping himself in. Like if somebody would leave, they would leave the door and they were like fisting him or pounding
So he
him.
wasn't even a student.
No, no, he's not
Wow.
even a student. He's a 37-year-old man pretending to be a 28-year-old student, and he don't even
Wow.
go to her college. So like, and then another student had even stated they saw the gun from being presented by the ex-boyfriend. He was kind of flexing, but like nobody reported it. Like, oh, there's a gun on campus, and there's a guy with a gun. Like nobody
See
even said
that
anything.
that's part of the problem. Like I said earlier, you see these red flags and
Mm-hmm.
you see these issues, yet you stay silent when you could have saved a person's life. There's
Mm-hmm.
no need of sitting around and being quiet and not saying anything when you see someone has a gun or a knife or they're planning something. Shit,
Tell out of all, this is what's crazy is like she had the, I guess, the proper precautions in
Mm-hmm.
place, but I guess they were just missing it all over. And they were saying when they pulled security footage, like I guess after she had been shot,
Mm-hmm.
the boyfriend was seen walking through the parking lot and being picked up in a vehicle that
Yeah.
night. And it was later found that he may have been meeting up with another young woman that he met on a dating app. So he just killed somebody and then went on a
On a
date.
date.
Yes, and spent the some time with
He's
her.
sick in the head. Oh my God.
Only somebody who would be mentally off would really just be like, "Oh, I'm just going to go out on a date, hook up with somebody else and then
He
just
had to
leave."
have. He was trying to make an alibi. Like, no, no,
No.
I was on a
You know what?
date.
Yeah,
No,
probably. But unfortunately, they had the security showing he
good.
got picked up. And the young woman, because they put the footage on the news, she saw that that was her car and, that was where she was. So she immediately went to the police because she's not trying to be any type of accessory
I
to
wouldn't
a
either.
murder. And now she's scared because this man knows where she lives, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so they were on a manhunt for the ex-boyfriend, but by the time they found him, he was already like dead by a self-inflicted wound. So he had already
See,
taken
and
himself
he's a
out,
coward.
and
And
he's
he's
a
a
coward.
coward.
Right? You done killed somebody. Well, you didn't even think yourself through this. Like this is just, it's awful. And her parents Matthew and Jill McCluskey,
Mm-hmm.
they filed two different lawsuits against the University of Utah relating to the situation. And
As
so,
they should.
yes, yes, because the first complaint was brought up seeking $56 million, alleging that officers could have done more to protect her daughter after claiming she had contacted the campus police multiple times in the weeks leading up to her death, saying that her ex boyfriend was harassing her. So she actually, we're letting her parents know, I've been doing the precautions and there's document and proof that she's out here reaching out. And so the family had a second lawsuit, um,
Mm-mm.
just basically accusing the university of discrimination against her based on gender, ignoring her pleas. And so the university, they acknowledge that the murder was brutal and senseless and could have been a preventable tragedy. And they just, continue to acknowledge the loss of what, they had. So they ended
Mm-hmm.
up settling on a $10.5 million uh, lawsuit for
Oh,
students and parents. Yeah, in addition, 3 million to the Parents Foundation because they created one involving safety campuses across the country.
okay.
So and also I have a little bit of a breakdown of the timeline
Mm-hmm.
of Lauren communicating and what she did to try to prevent. And this is why also the lawsuit had some leg to stand on. So
Yeah.
um, on September 2nd, 2018,
Mm-hmm.
that's when Lauren met Melvin, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
Sean, at a local bar where he was working as a bouncer. And that's when they began their relationship.
Yeah.
October 9th is when Lauren learned his true identity. So about a month later,
Mm-hmm.
that's when she, decided to break up.
Yeah.
That's immediately the erratic behavior is when it started. So on October 7th, um, Lauren's mom contacted campus security who requested escorts to help her with her daughter to retrieve a vehicle from her ex-boyfriend.
The
Okay.
10th, you mean?
The 10th, correct. The
Yeah.
10th of October, correct. The next day. Because, she was trying to get her vehicle back.
Yeah.
Even later on the 10th, Lauren called back to request a security escort
Mm-hmm.
to pick her up from her car to take her to her unit. I mean,
Okay.
her little dorm room. So obviously she's
She was doing the
recognizes
things she was
early.
supposed to. Yeah.
Yes, and she did this immediately because she already recognized signs that teaches you shows you your parenting, that you've had
Mm-hmm.
take the precautions. Um,
She was paying attention to her surroundings.
yes,
Yeah.
October 12th, Lauren contacted the university police to report to receiving many suspicious messages from what she
Mm-hmm.
believed was her ex-boyfriend, stating that he was dead and it was Lauren's fault, and a bunch of other things that she eventually found out were untrue, but she felt
Mm-hmm.
these were dangerous and threatening in nature, so that's why she reported it.
Yeah.
um, on the 19th, a formal investigation started because Lauren contacted the detective to let them know that there were possible um, footage or photos of her that he was trying to extort her
Extort
on.
her. Yeah.
hmm
Crazy.
So yeah, they were starting to do the investigation, and October 19th through the 20th, security footage shows the ex-boyfriend at various locations on campus. Okay, so he's already starting to stalk her,
Mm-mm.
right then and there. Um, October 22nd, 10:30 a.m., Lauren emailed to the police, having receiving additional text messages from spoof numbers pretending to be detectives, talking about come here, come to these places.
He
Um,
had too much time on his hand.
yes. Then, from on October 22nd, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., her ex-boyfriend spent the afternoon waiting for her at her dorm room with some of her friends in the hall. So just I don't know what she told her friends, but whoever people who knew about her obviously didn't know this extent, because if they're lingering around, and like I said, people were letting him in the building and knew he didn't have a key card, but they recognized his face.
Yeah.
So then then October 22nd, 8:20 p.m., that's when he confronted Lauren. So that's when Lauren was on the phone with her mom and her dad. And this was in the parking lot outside of her residence hall. In
Yeah.
the altercation, that is when she dropped her cell phone and her belongings, and then she was dragged to a different spot in the parking lot where he forced her.
Wow.
Yes, where he forced her in the back seat,
Mm-hmm.
and then he shot her multiple times. Okay,
Crazy.
right. Then, which is crazy. It is crazy because she was dragged, so that could have took some time. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is her parents were quick too. Her dad made a phone call at 8:23, calling the dispatch on campus, stating that their daughter was in trouble,
Yeah.
and that they heard it on the phone and they requested assistance. 8:32, police responded, located Lauren's belongings, and they searched for her. Okay.
Mm.
Yes. 8:38, Roland was picked up by an acquaintance that leaves campus. That was the
Mm-hmm.
young lady from the story.
Huh.
At 9:55, during the search, that's when they found Lauren's body in the back seat in the parking lot. Um,
Wow.
yes, so they had been searching for her, but it took almost an hour later for them to find her body.
It's
And
crazy.
that's when a secure in place was. Now, this is also what's crazy is at 9:56, a secure in place alert was on campus stating a shooter was on campus. They should have did some form of alert earlier, in my
Yes.
opinion. Not stating, because they always like to do it's an active investigation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could have just said, "Hey, missing student,
Yep.
this is what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Have you
have?"
seen this
Mm-hmm.
student?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, something, So by 10:09, an alert with the suspect's information updates were sent now we're being sent every 30 minutes. So now
Crazy.
they're because they know it's an emergency, they're every 30 minutes everybody's being updated about this. So now they're trying to get people to, be active. At
Mm-hmm.
11:46, they lift the secure in place at the university,
It's
because
two
now,
hours.
yeah, because they suspected he left campus, so they didn't know where he was, you know.
Wow.
Um, so then at midnight, alert was identifying the shooter as Melvin Rowland. So now the police department is involved.
Okay.
By 12:46 a.m., Salt Lake police located Rowland. They engaged in a foot pursuit. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he entered into Trinity AME Church on Martin Luther King Boulevard, where they said he had shot himself. Yeah, yeah.
Just because you shoot yourself at a church don't mean you're gonna be forgiven.
Amen.
You still
A-
going to hell.
exactly. And on October 23rd at 1:47 a.m., the alert was stating that Melvin Rowland had been located and was no longer a threat.
Wow, coward.
Yeah, so that's very intense.
It is.
That's the
That's a
timeline.
lot, and
Hmm.
it was in such a short span. It was only within a few days that all of it went down, and that's crazy.
Yes, yes. From the time that she alerted, she actually made it a point to communicate as soon as possible, you know, and
She took
her
the steps that were needed to try to save her life, yet the school failed her.
the school did fail her, and that is why her parents also did the lawsuit.
Yeah, yeah. So like all the steps that we were naming earlier and saying what they should have in place, they were in place. It was just the staff didn't do the things that they needed.
The staff,
It's
yeah, the police
they
department,
they failed her
yeah,
big time.
They did. And there's actually a story on it. If you go to like YouTube, and the ESPN did like a documentary on it too. They go into like more detail about it, and they actually interview, for example, campus security. The detective, I didn't see her on that episode, but they definitely spoke to campus security. And he takes fault in this. He's like, he basically
Yeah.
felt like he should have been more attentive, but the fact that he was just still new and
Yeah.
undertrained, that he
Yes.
just, because he was one of the last people to speak to her when she had said, hey, I have these threatening texts. And he said, just forward your information over to the detective, but then later find out she died. And, he felt he has that burden on him.
Well, at least he have some remorse, and so that's good. I,
Right. Exactly.
I do appreciate that part because they could have done a way better job.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah,
Uh,
that's something I thought I would share too.
okay, so if you all liked her story, and if you want to hear more stories like that, reach out to us and let us know, and we can do some research on some stories and start sharing more of those. So I think we're going to go ahead and go into our next segment, which is Am I the Asshole?
Okay. Looking to have great memories captured in time for you to see whenever you like? Want wonderful photos for any occasion? Then contact Christina for all your unforgettable moments you want to cherish forever. You can go to her Instagram page with Rain and Light, and in her bio she states from Austin, Texas to wherever you are. You can also go to her website, www.withrainandlight.com, and get started with your memories today. Okay.
Welcome to our horror section.
Ooh, spooky.
So today I have another horror story for us, and it's titled Someone Followed Me Home to My Someone followed me to my home a month ago. Now I can see myself on a baby monitor putting my son to bed. I'm still at work. It's a long title.
Yeah.
So I, Callum, 35, live on the outskirts of a small town in the middle of Utah with my seemingly perfect family, my dear wife, Georgina, who's 28, my two cats, Tubber and Rubber, and my beautiful newborn baby boy, Philip. Our family had never faced any major issues at all. We were just a young family trying to make a good life for our son and his future siblings. Working as a high-up manager in a large software company often meant I would get home much later than expected. Usually later than 9 p.m. to even midnight before some of our most major projects. Although it meant that I would have to miss seeing my family for our meals in the evenings, I knew that it would be a great life, especially since I was the main breadwinner, where my wife only did part-time work. I never thought a few late nights could cause such a burden to my life. About a month ago, my car was in the garage getting fixed, and there were no Ubers around, so I had to walk home from a late night at work. There was only a mile or two between my office and home, so I had convinced my wife that it would not be an issue to go home that late. She would always worry and be so cautious of my safety when I had to stay out late. Everyone in our town knew dangers of gangs, murderers, and assaults that spiked in the late nights of this town. I wasn't scared though. I thought I could protect myself from all of them. My parents had made sure I had gotten a black belt before high school just for this reason. I knew that the streets wouldn't hurt me. Surely nothing in my own house could be anything worse. Back to my walk. It was completely normal for the first 5 minutes before I heard it. Over all the bucketing rain coming down and the wind hitting my umbrella, I could hear booming footsteps from 20 yards behind me. I turned to see what inhumane figure could possibly be making such a bloody racket. I turned to see a human shaped in a navy blue jacket, a little distant behind me, but very quickly looking away. I thought I saw the person. Something felt wrong. Not only was there a sudden wave of bile in my mouth, but the person's appearance started running through my mind. Something off about it. I could tell, I couldn't tell what, but it was something about that face. So similar, yet I was unable to work it out. What was so similar that I couldn't recognize it so easily? Like I had seen that face all the time, every day. I began to jog slowly, further and further forward, trying to get a bigger gap between me and that thing. The only issue being that it was steps behind me and it began to do the same thing on the same rhythm, on the same beat. But 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 running at full speed now. I can still hear the steps right behind me, echoing as I eventually began to run down the street. The sweat dripping down my forehead, stomach beginning to burn with a painful stabbing sensation, and heavy wheezing rapidly increasing in my lungs, all whilst that running still comes from behind me. I sprint up the garden path and straight toward the door as the footsteps quickly get further away. Locking the door, I finally believed that I had escaped, bringing a long sigh of relief. I walked through the arch into the living room to look toward the wraparound window. This window let us see all the way down the street to the 6-foot brick wall in the far end. The figure is nowhere. I couldn't have been in the hallway long enough for the figure to get down the street and back up again. I tried to ignore the absurdity. And that's it.
We just leave the cliffhanger.
Yes.
I'm just
You
going to
gotta wait
ignore
for
this.
part 2.
You always
That's
find good
crazy.
stories.
And I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine walking home and then all of a sudden this creature that looks familiar to you is behind you, but you can't figure out what the face is, but you've seen it before.
What if the plot twist is the figure is them?
How are you seeing yourself?
Who knows?
It's
But it's
crazy.
familiar and it's on the same rhythm as you.
I mean, but the title is Someone Followed Me Home a Month Ago. Now I can see myself on the baby monitor. So, I mean, it's possible. It is definitely possible.
Right.
What would you do? Like, I mean, he ran home. I don't think that I could possibly run fast enough to get away from something behind me.
Especially if it's on the same footsteps and setup as you. It sounds like you're not able to move. What if it's a shadow?
But it's making the same breathing sounds and everything as you. Like, what are they called? Skinwalkers?
Oh, that's creepy. I don't even know.
It could possibly be a skinwalker because aren't they supposed to look exactly like you?
See, I was thinking of Peter Pan in a shadow, and you went to
my
like
gosh.
Skinwalker. Like,
yeah, because what a skinwalker? What is a skinwalker by definition? It is
creepy.
A type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal.
Ooh.
Maybe. So I don't know.
Creepy.
Most definitely. Well, that was our horror section. So now we're going to get into our next segment, which is Music with Lady Roscoe.
Yes.
Bum, 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 bum.
Dun, 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 dun. No, I'm just kidding. And this is Music with Lady Roscoe, where we talk about current, past and present. Music, entertainment, just for the best eaters.
Trust me, bitches swear they cheat, but the G must stand for pussy. When the fuck did alligators and niggas turn to groupies? Everybody wanna kick it when you ain't a threat. These niggas don't like me cause they know I'm on their neck. Y'all goofy assholes look so dumb every time y'all celebrate fake news. Using my name for likes and views. I don't give a fuck what y'all make trend, bitch, I still win.
Wow. Hey, you know what, Yoko? Have you heard the song by Megan Thee Stallion?
I've heard most of it, yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's been causing a lot of tension, a little drama going on in these streets.
It has. And I have to give it to Meg. She definitely won this.
Honestly, she ate. I heard her interview on like the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
And even though it was a short one, she pretty much expressed like a hit dog will holler.
And boy, have the dog been hollered.
Yeah, and I haven't heard all of it either. I've just heard, already the buzz, people saying that she's talking about multiple people. And, that includes Tory Lanez, her ex-boyfriend, possibly Nicki Minaj. She never puts these names out there directly, but you have these implications of what possibly could be the beef.
And the person who has been talking the most has been Nicki. She has been on X for like the past 72 hours. Just back to back to back to back to back to back to back tweets. And it's ridiculous. You're supposed to be this rap queen. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing that you could come up with is 1 foot, 2 foot, red foot, blue foot. Calling this girl Bigfoot. Like, that's the best you could come up with, Nicki.
Damn. I guess creativity is eye and the beholder. It is like, maybe it's playful rap because you don't want to really go in on the person. Maybe it's at least like, okay, this is my step one.
No, she talked about her dead mother, so no, she went below the belt.
Oh, did she?
Yes, she went below the belt.
Whoa.
And as someone who just lost their father, and the way that she lost her father, I don't think she should be, talking about anyone's deceased parent, because I wouldn't want nobody to call my father a speed bump.
Damn.
I mean, he did die because he got ran over. Right. So, she should be the last one to say anything.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's crazy. Yeah. So, but that definitely has, people talking already.
Yeah, especially that bar she hit with that Megan's Law.
Oh, yeah, I had to educate myself on that because at first I thought it was maybe a play on words, but then I found out it was actual situation when it comes to these predators. So
yeah, and Nicki's husband is supposed to be a predator, so that's where that bar come from.
Yeah, over a situation that happened a long time ago.
Yeah, and then some guy on TikTok, he brought up where Nicki was giving a 13-year-old a lap dance. And then, she has a song with Lil Twist. And at the time, he was 16. And the thing she was saying on there wasn't so nice either. So she might need to watch herself because, she might be one of those Megan Law peoples is what that person was saying.
Oh, wow. That's intense. I didn't even hear that before.
Yeah, so I think she should definitely, my opinion, she should pick a beef with someone else or just sit down and be quiet.
Oh, wow. I guess, yeah, like when people defend themselves, maybe, and I'm not even too sure what Megan had really said, about Nikki, but it obviously struck deep.
It struck her so deep that she called Kelsey, who's supposed to be Megan's best friend, the one who was with her, to try to get her to be on her side with this beef. Like, are you
right now?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, wow.
Like, she called her and had a conversation with her. Like, you supposed to be Nicki Minaj, this big old rap queen that can do all these bars, but is it true? Do you really have a ghostwriter? Are you not making up your own raps? Is that why you haven't came up with a better rebuttal to Megan?
Damn, Yoko's going in.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't even think of it like that. I just knew that, I had heard there was a little bit of drama going on. And I know that not this song, but I know, like, there was a response from her ex-boyfriend, but it was, I guess she responded to him again in this song from a previous rap that he had did.
See, first of all, I didn't even know who Party was. Still really don't know who is until he was dating Megan. And then he put out his little diss track last year after she put out hers.
Yeah.
And then, so I saw him on TikTok playing basketball at one of these celebrity basketball games, whatever it was supposed to be.
Okay.
And he went under. He like scooted down and went under and knocked the legs off of this player. Mm-hmm. And the player fell. Now that's intentional. He pretended like there was not cameras around, like nobody saw him do this. He was like, what happened? I didn't do nothing. If you lied that easily and there are thousands of cameras around, why would I not believe what Megan said about you? If you lied that easily in a basketball game for no reason when there were millions of cameras and eyes looking at you, if you would lie about that, what would make me think that you wouldn't lie about anything else?
That's credibility.
Yeah.
I see your point.
It was just a little thing of you hit him. You knocked him down intentionally. Own it.
Right.
But no, you want to lie about it. So if you lie about that, there's no way I can trust you.
Dang, that's crazy. What do you think about like female rappers in the industry?
What do you mean?
Like, where do you think that they stand in the culture? How do you think that they've changed over time? Like the music, like, for example, women, like, in my opinion, Black women in the entertainment industry when it comes to hip hop sometimes don't have the best light of things, and everyone's always trying to create a beef or always trying to make it seem like we got to put people against each other. But
I don't think that's just necessarily in just rap. I think that's how it is for women, Black women, in every space that they're in. Okay. We always have to fight for our right to be wherever we are. Like the WNBA, they don't get as much attention as the regular NBA.
Yeah.
Any women's sports team doesn't get as much light or attention as the male counterparts. But as far as rap, I don't think there's been a big evolution in women's rap. Like, there's nothing that's changed. I think how it is how it's always been. There's always been these heavy hip hop, raw type artists that, like the MC Lyte and stuff like that. Then we have the Lola Brooks and Gorilla now. Then we have the freaky type rappers, like we had Trina. And now we have Sexy Red. But the women now who are way more vocal and said a little different, they are looked at as, like Sexy Red. I give her as an example. Everyone looks at her and be like, oh, she's a hoe, she's this, she's that, she's like that. What was Trina? What was that lady we talked about in the last episode, Ma Thornton?
Yeah.
So it's always been that Lucille lady that I was telling you about. It's always been the vulgar type rap. And so I don't think they should steadily put these ladies down because it's also not who they are. It's also their job and their rap persona. And when they're not that person, they're a different person. So how they look at Sookie and how they look at Sexy Red, that's not them. You know, like your name is Lady Roscoe,
right?
But you're also somebody else on the side, and we only see one side of a person.
Okay.
You know, we're not with them all the time, and people judge so much off that one side, and that puts a bad light on women rap. Well, why she got to wear this? Why she got to do that? It's her job. You're judging her on her job. This is what she's supposed to do. So if people steady look at it like that, how do women rappers like them stand a chance?
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. I never really thought of it that way, or, you know, like they're giving it as their job. And that's true. Like a lot of people are judging them as them. When you're talking about Suki Hana, I remember there was like some drama that happened with her. Well, she felt like her personal space was invaded, but then she spoke about how it's a persona. And then people tend to criticize her too, to say, well, you shouldn't be acting like this, you shouldn't be doing this. But at the same time, she's human too. So I get it. Like,
she get paid. She get paid to do that. She gets paid to wear those short clothes and look a certain way. But that doesn't give a right to a person to come up and kiss me without my permission.
Right, correct.
It doesn't give anyone permission to come grab me on my bottom because of that. Like, no, it's still consent. I'm still human. Right. And I have emotions and feelings, and you can't just come and be like, oh, just because you have this on, that makes you a bad person. No, get to know me before you judge me. And that's what everybody do. They just see their persona and they think they know someone, but they don't really understand what that person is going through.
I like that. I do like that. I feel like, you know, there was a little bit of unity when it came to, you didn't really see like beefs with Missy Elliott or Kim or like Left Eye. Those people weren't beefing with each other, and they're around the same era. Yeah. So I feel like, but when they did start kind of pinning people, but you know what, you're right too about talking about the whole industry, because they really do make it look like, well, we just need this many black people or this token black person, you know, and it's more than that. And I guess that's why we started building our own community and having our own stuff, because the show, you can have multiple people. You don't have to just
in different spaces. Yeah.
So, explain our experiences.
And just because I look this way doesn't mean that's who I am.
Yes.
Because, okay, I'm going to use me. Most people look at me, and if I'm not smiling, I look really mean. I am the furthest from a mean person. I'm the sweetest person, and I've always when I worked at a job, I'll never forget, I used to get in trouble for not smiling. If I'm sitting at my desk, I worked at a medical office, and I'm taking notes about the patients that came in and did their therapy. Why would I be sitting at my desk smiling and I'm typing? Don't you think that I would look like a crazy person?
Oh my goodness, that's really funny.
But the supervisor would come in, or the owner would come in, and she'd pass by and she'd see that, you know, I'm straight faced or whatever. I'm looking at my computer doing what I'm supposed to, but I'm not smiling. And so she would go and tell the doctor, and he'd come talk to me, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm taking notes. Like, sit up and smile and keep, like, you would think I'm crazy. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
You're
like
just concentrating.
Right. If people are in there, they know I'm talking to them. They know what kind of person I am. There was never any complaints, but I'm not smiling. So, yeah, you can't just go by judging off how someone looks and stuff, because it's not true. That's not true.
Yeah. So, that kind of like would help eliminate the beef that happens in the industry.
Yeah.
If
people need to take a...
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it would just help end the beef in the industry, and that, like, maybe if we just saw each other as coworkers instead of competition.
Yeah,
like,
take accountability for your own actions, the things you said. Yeah, and just find other ways. Like, I like the rap beef, I would rather them, battle it out in bars than battling it out with guns, because we've lost way too many of our rappers and everything. Like, we had the Tupac and Biggie, so we don't need any more of those situations,
Because we have too many shootings in America anyways.
Look, how many people have we lost? What, King Von, Lil Mo 3, so many people to stupid rap beats. So, yeah.
For what? And these people get just gunned down, with that young man, was it Tacion? Like, yeah, him too. And he was eating, I think they say he was eating a sandwich.
Yeah, it was something like that. He had
just chilled. It was
crazy. Yeah.
Like, people come up. It's scary. That's very scary. And that also comes with popularity too. Like, when you're in the music industry and people know your face, your name, the things you say matter.
They do.
So, but like you said, it's better to keep it in the bars. It's better to just express it in the music, regardless if it's like a great comeback or not. It's better just to do it that way, because at least no one's hurt. It's like, it's the same. It's like a release of endorphins. So.
It's therapy in a way.
So yeah. At least they keep it into the music. And
right.
I guess that means we'll have to keep listening to hear whose comeback is better, because he made like multiple shots. That's like multiple hits. He's like, how like the Cat Williams did, like he just shot people.
Oh my God. His was unnecessary though, but hey.
His came out of nowhere. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I needed the entertainment,
I never joined you on your segment of music. I enjoyed that today.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Next time we have some time or some space to just do some extra stuff, I'll definitely bring you into the music world.
No problem. I enjoyed it. So I'm always here.
Cool beans. So I guess that'll be the end of our segment, and we'll get into the Around the World and Back.
Around the world and night, yeah.
What's going down with it, man? It's your boy Big Tone P, Mail Route Entertainment in the building, you know what I'm saying? Y'all go follow me on IG, big_tone_P, and Big Tone P on YouTube. Go like and subscribe to that channel. Shout out to Yoko Camille and Lady Roscoe. Not Your Average Podcast, man. Shout out. Much love, you know what I'm saying? Peace.
Welcome to Around the World and Back, where we talk about things that happened in the past and current events. Current events.
Sit back and enjoy the ride.
All right.
Yeah.
Welcome to Around the World and Back.
Now we're definitely going around and coming back.
Yes, we are. Oh, so y'all better buckle up and enjoy this ride.
Yes, please.
So first, let's talk about the French government.
Oh my goodness. What is there to say about the French government?
They're protesting over there about the French government.
Okay.
They say, give us our rights.
Man, I saw a little bit about it, and it was like tractors like blocking the highway and
Oh my God,
stuff.
I've never seen so many tractors in my life, not even at a tractor supply store.
Right. There were hundreds of people, like thousands,
Man,
probably
thousands.
thousands. Like it was a lot. They said it was an eight lane highway that was blocked. That's
Did
a lot, you
did you
know?
see them spraying the manure over the government buildings?
I did not. I just saw like tractors, and then I saw the picture of like the Mona Lisa having the soup on it.
Yes, I saw that. When they came in, they threw the cans or cups of soup over it. They took their little um, jackets off and had T-shirts with something on it, and they were saying something. I don't speak French, so I don't understand what they were saying. But after that, then they put up these black partitions to try to cover the Mona Lisa so no one could see. It was crazy.
Yes, I mean, I saw some clips online that there were
Mm-hmm.
some sheeps running wild in the city, and like they were burning things in the middle of certain like areas in the city as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like this, obviously these people are mad.
Yeah, and I think it's because I think they're trying to keep them from using the farm equipment, which is stupid. Like we need our farmers. Without them, we wouldn't have anything. So I'm like, viva la France. I'm with you, France.
Yeah, definitely, protest and wow, security barriers. And honestly, they had to put the Mona Lisa behind a glass wall because there were other paintings that people have been, putting stuff
Destroying.
on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so I
They
guess they took that precaution.
they have been going into like McDonald's and spreading manure all in there. Like they are really just destroying these places because they want, as they say, um, where did it go? They said that they want. I'm gonna mess this word up. They want better remuneration for their
Okay.
produce, which is basically they want their money back for their produce. They want less red tape and they want protection against cheap imports. And that is not too much to ask for.
No, it's not. I guess there's a trade that needs to be done, with the agriculture. Where would we be without the trade, the food trade? That not only certain things are grown in certain parts of the
Mm-hmm,
world. And when we trade, then we make those things accessible to other parts of the world as well.
mm-hmm,
And so people may not see this as a big deal, but there may be imports that come from over here in France or neighboring cities that port out from over in France or Paris.
mm-hmm.
And now these items are either on delay and they're on back demand. That goes into supply and demand with other chains. So, it is good to stay up with this.
Mm-hmm. And then it's also other people that are trying, like, to stop the trade of stuff with us, like
Hmm.
Russian stuff. So we need to keep those connections in place.
Right, right. Because one broken leg can make a table fall over.
Man, it's crazy. And then did you also see about the Biden administration, the law that they passed,
Which one?
where they are saying that Texas have to remove the razor wire at the border?
Oh, okay. Yes. And I know that Governor Abbott just doesn't care. He feels like it's his constitutional right
Mm-hmm.
to make sure they maintain the border because he feels that Texas is being invaded right now. So I guess under the some form of law or somewhere in textbook, he's
Yeah,
stating that.
and then I know the acting CBP Commissioner Troy Miller said that they are currently not on a timetable. So I guess there's not an expected time of when it's going to come down. But hopefully they go ahead and cut it down. I'm for it. I mean, I don't see. the real harm in allowing others to come over and try to make a better life for them and their family. This is supposed to be the land of opportunity.
I feel like they need to have better processing. I guess this is what, I guess this is what, in a sense, Abbott was trying to ask for the president, was help with the border, help with these people. But the way that he's going about it is kind of like a nuisance.
Yeah.
So it's like he's feeling like he's being shooed off. So it's like, well, this is how I'm getting my point across, because these situations, I've been watching clips online. They've been moving those people to New York, and it's
Mm-hmm.
now causing a housing crisis up in New York
Yeah, I
where
mean, and it's not only New York; they're moving them everywhere. There's Chicago, like
hmm
it's
hmm
just putting them on a bus and just shipping them off.
and it's causing the economy to kind of shift, because now finances are going to places. I saw this one video where, because New York is so cold right now, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the migrants had to get moved to a
Mm-hmm.
high school. And now they were evacuated the next morning, but the principal still decided to close the school, because finding out that what was it? The public property, like, because schools are like state property,
Mm-hmm.
they can do what they want to do at that location at any moment's notice, like without a notice, because it belongs to the state. So if they need them for people, for relocation, they can do it. And some parents were upset about this, um, because they're like, why do our schools have to be used to house people? Like, why don't you have places to
Right.
house people, But it does bring up a bigger issue, you know.
I mean, we barely have housing for the homeless, so there wouldn't be anywhere to put the migrants because look, they bought that one place here in Austin to house the homeless, and the community over there were in an outrage because
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want the homeless to be in their neighborhoods.
Yes.
But you are having a fit about them being in the parks, being under the bridges. Where are they supposed to go?
You know what? That reminds me of, I watch videos on cities that populations have become decreased over the years. There are places in America right now that are vacant, homes, apartments, cities vacant. They may
Mm-hmm.
need like some type of upgrade, but I feel like maybe provide people the tools to self build. Like, I know there are some countries that, they supply people the building equipment and they build themselves. Like, you can maybe provide them with some stuff to build something, make a small community, like,
Mm-hmm.
or have contractors come in, help in this small town. We have so much land and property available. It's just unacceptable, in my opinion.
That is very true. That is very true. And it's like last year, Texas even sued to stop the wire cutting, saying that it was illegally dropped state property and undermined security in order to assist migrants in crossing the border. So if you don't want them to cross the border, give them other options, give them
Yes.
other resources,
Yes.
be in coordination or conjunction with Mexico or whatever to try to find other ways to help their citizens. Like if you don't want them over here, try to help the other country then.
Yes. Make I think they should make some type of a processing center at the border, and they're going to say, "Oh, we do," but it's not obviously it's not working. So it needs to be reinvented,
Mm-hmm.
a processing center. These people come in, they have temporary, but the word needs to be spread how this is being handled, how this is going to be handled. I saw something online where the US was helping Mexico build their southern border to help decrease the amount of people coming up. But in order to do that, you would
Mm-hmm.
literally need to give them the equipment that looks like our border. and that's
Yes.
not going to look the same. The further you get down to the like countries in South America, the
Mm-hmm.
more, what would you call those areas? Be urban,
Yeah.
it would be more urban. Now it's more word of mouth. The communication is different over there. So unless you are going to instill the same rules then that turns into a whole nother thing of now America is more tapped into, you know what I mean? Like there could be positive things, but then there's more negative because now you're blocking, you're more
Yeah.
controlling, but
And
yeah.
then, I mean, they should have more compassion. People put their lives and their family lives in danger trying to get over here to make a better life for themselves. So just cutting them off and stopping them from coming over here. If someone puts so much effort into trying to make their lives better, why stop them? Why just be like, nope, we can't help you?
The amount of unattended excuse me, the amount of unattended children alone that came into the United States was a lot
But
because
even the ones that didn't even make it over here, like
yeah,
the people who lost their lives trying to cross that water, it,
right.
it's been so many people that's passed just in that area alone.
I don't think the wire might be a good idea because they tried to do like some bobble system in the river, and someone
Mm-hmm.
had got like, some people have already died like in there, and they don't, they're trying to say like Mexico is investigating, America is investigating, but they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to say that, we don't know if they died because of this bobble system or this little, our floating device system in the water that's preventing people to come over. It's, or their body just washed up against the
Mm-hmm.
buoy, like, oh, they just happen to float up and land on the buoy. They don't know. So they already have the stuff in the water, but people are still coming over. Like I saw these videos and people are finding ways. They're coming over. And so
Yeah.
you might as well try to figure out a better way. Like they were coming over in higher numbers because they heard that there were rules that were going to be lifted. That's why they had, and like I said, that's word of mouth. That's how many people came through the border. So there, if that can happen, you can make better processing centers. People
Mm-hmm.
don't need to have people go to a safe point of location to come in, get ID. And that'll supply people jobs. Like it'll give you a job to do, and then, like I said, give them some building equipment. Send them to cities and towns that are
Mm-hmm.
literally vacant, or land or property that they could start on, and give them something. And I know a lot of people are like, well, what about our tax dollars? Then I don't know, we'll figure out a system where more money and stuff goes in place for our people in America as well, because we don't want to forget our people, but at the same time, we want to build a bigger economy.
Yeah. And so the last thing I know we're going to talk about on Around the World and Back is this lovely young lady, Miss Holly Bailey.
Okay.
So we all know that she just had a baby a few months ago, or about a month ago. And she basically hid her pregnancy from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And now the people are going crazy.
They are. I've seen different things online. A few people have been, like, we knew it, or other people were like, who cares, or why share now, or we're so excited. So it's a bag of mixed emotions.
They're saying she lied about it, just different things. And I feel, as a woman, a mother, you have the right to not tell whoever you don't want to tell about your pregnancy. Is your body. And we go through so much during our pregnancy that she just probably wanted to not stress with how people judge so much. So
That,
why would she want to go through that?
yes, you're right.
You know, if her and DDG aren't married.
No.
So, you know, they're going to talk about that, especially with her being the Little Mermaid and on Disney.
Yes.
So they're going to talk about that and then how they talked about him. So, yeah, I would keep my pregnancy secret too.
You know, especially, sorry.
That's all right.
You know, especially when you are this like young figure becoming into your adulthood, and it is being frowned upon. And that's another thing about being a person of color is
Mm-hmm.
this could be anybody else, but they would be a little bit more judgmental, but or a little like they give like scrutiny. And sometimes it doesn't matter the race, you know, because I know they went in on Britney Spears' little sister when she got pregnant, and they also got, you know, they were also judging like Sarah Palin's daughter when she was pregnant at 16. So I do know that this is a stigma that goes against women in general as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
they, it's funny because it's a double standard of society, and then you're also a person of color, so
Mm-hmm.
that's like a double whammy. You know, being a woman in today's society is better than it was in the past, but they still have these old school ideas that they want to stick on people and say, well, she's not married. And yeah, I see that why she would want to keep it private. You know, that's her business. I know some people were comparing her pregnancy to Kylie Jenner, and they were saying like, oh, well, Kylie hid hers better.
But
Oh, go
see,
ahead.
the the thing is, they don't have to tell us.
Yes. Yes, they
Just
don't.
because they are out in the limelight and they tell us everything else, they don't have to tell us anything about what goes on in their life. And
Right.
that's what people need to understand. We are being given the favor of them telling us
Mm-hmm.
or showing us anything.
That's true.
Before there was reality TV and all this, how did we find out that someone was pregnant? They didn't just announce it. You saw them in something, in a magazine or something, and that's how you knew.
Because the paparazzi was invasive, and that was the comparison that I was giving was like Haley, or is it Hallie? I may have
Holly.
Hallie. So Hallie also still had press tour releases. She needed to do. She was doing 2 movies releases.
Mm-hmm.
She did a bunch of interviews. Look, this is what I want to say. Of course, we knew. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest. I knew, but
Yeah.
and it was just like, but at the same time it was because of the invaders, like the pictures and stuff, but she had to be in public. So for someone who had to be in public because of her previous arrangements and promises, I feel like she did do a good job of keeping it out of massive news, if that makes sense. Be-
Yeah.
because she had interviews on talk shows when she was pregnant, and so that means that you have a communication between the people of the showrunner, what you cannot talk about or do not ask me a question about, or you know what I mean. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like yes, we knew and it was coming out, and you know, of course, you know, she was trying to, they were, I think other people were upset because they felt like they were being gaslit when they were responding. They felt like people they should not have responded, instead of saying like certain things like, what are you talking about, what baby, like they felt like they were being, I guess people just don't like being fooled. I think that they should have maybe not said anything and just ignored the comments. um but that's their prerogative. That's what they do, you know, that's what they chose to respond with, and
Right.
this is their business. So I can't, I definitely think it's great and babies are a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
um I think that's the beautiful part, because myself, I just recently had a baby,
Yeah.
and I didn't put it on social media. Like the only
Right.
people who knew were my friends. Like, people who knew me.
I did a whole movie with you too, and didn't find out until a few months before you gave birth. So yeah,
I know, I didn't
and
even tell anybody.
so yeah, I understand, and I get people not wanting to have everybody in their business. I mean, it's their business.
Right. Yeah. So it's just I can respect it. I can't get mad about it. I understand they still want to share because that's what this is. This is 2024. We're in the day of media. We are in the day of sharing. And also, I mean, at the same time, you monetize, but this is where we are in life. So,
Mm-hmm.
of course, they'll give the grand gesture of this is our baby. And I believe the child's name is Halo.
Yeah,
So it's like this is their blessing, and let them be who they are and let them deal with their life the way that they deal with their life. A lot of people see them, and I've heard the term, I don't know for sure, but I heard the term like they would compare them to like Bobby and Whitney.
girl.
So,
Uh-uh.
but what I see is I just see two young people
In
that are,
love.
yeah, I do. I don't know so much in their background, but these kids aren't causing a ruckus like
Mm-mm.
a Bobby Brown would back in the day.
They're living their best life. They're loving on each other. They're doing what teenagers are supposed to be. Well, not teenagers, but young adults are doing when
Hmm.
they're in love. They're being them, and you can't stop them or
Right.
hate on them.
Right.
Now, I know I said that this was our last topic for Around the World and Back.
Okay.
But before we go, I just saw something that's we talked about the Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion beef in your segment.
Right.
I just saw somewhere that says Nicki will drop Bigfoot at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. today. That's corny.
That.
That is corny. And in all of the comments, everyone says no one cares. They're going to be watching the 49ers and Lions game. And she's also 72 hours too late.
What do you mean 72 hours too late?
Because in the intro of Meg's song, she was like, she's giving them 24 hours of attention. And after that, she's laying it to rest.
Oh,
So
damn.
everybody had that 24 hours, and it took her 72 after she had her little tantrum. And
Oh,
the
wow.
instrumental is on YouTube, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to even click it. But it says Bigfoot. It has a picture of a Bigfoot and an imprint of one, and then it has a pink heel boot in the inside of that, and it says Bigfoot instrumental. And I just think that's whack because that's the only thing you got to come up with is to talk about her foot, her getting shot in the foot. That's the best thing you have.
I know she called her lying lipo.
Oh, girl, come on. Brought up Megan's Law. You're dating a pedophile. You are a pedophile. Come on. Let's move on. Besides her being shot in the foot,
Oh, shit.
it got to be something better.
Wow, that's intense.
Well, this was Around the World and Back.
Yes.
And I do thank y'all for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
I want you all to know that you can find us on our social medias for Not Your Average Podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Not Your Average Podcast, TX. And then on Instagram, it's not NOT, Your Average Podcast, TX. You can find me at Yoko Camille, YOKKOCAMILLE on Instagram, and Yoko Stackhouse on Facebook.
You can find me on Lady Roscoe, and that's LAYDIE, and that's Roscoe ROSCOE on Instagram, on X, formerly known as Twitter, YouTube as well. So definitely give us a peep and see what our social media is about.
Yes. And again, if you have a topic that you would like to have us talk about, just reach out to us and let us know, and we'll be more than happy to discuss that topic. Let us know about the episodes that you have listened to. Hopefully, you've caught up to all other 4 of our episodes, and just let us know how you feel about it. Let us know how we're doing.
Yes, definitely. We love to hear your insight.
And for our next episode, we'll be talking about abusive relationships. So make sure you stay tuned. Lock us in. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, and Amazon Podcast.
Yeah, so definitely take a look and be on the lookout for our YouTube channel and the content that will be coming out on there.
Yes, because we're going to be dropping some dope skits. So just stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to Not Your Average Podcast.
Average about it, just get glad that you found it. Tell a friend about it, know we all about it, so we gon' speak about it. Yoko, Camille, and Lady Roscoe, leave no doubt about it. Scream it out from the mountain. This not your average podcast. You ain't talking about nothing. When they hit the highway, yeah, they talking about something. Better tune in and listen. Get the scoop, they dig it. It's just an open discussion. Now tell me what's your position. You know what it is. Not your average podcast. You know what I'm saying? Yoko, Camille, Lady Roscoe. Y'all tap in. You know what I'm saying?